All right, I am on with Doug Messier. He is the proprietor of Parabolic Arc, which is a website tracking the private space industry. And Doug is here to discuss the decision by Richard Branson to head into space out of Spaceport America here in New Mexico on, hopefully for him, July the 11th. Of course, Jeff Bezos as well has plans to head into space. Of course, we can talk about what exactly that means, but he'll be heading up on July 20th. Welcome back to Tipping Point, New Mexico, Doug.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, well, you are our guy when it comes to the broad parameters of the Spaceport America and what's going on there, as well as just this billionaire space race. So kind of set the table for us. What do you think is really going on? Is this, for lack of a better word, a pissing contest between two billionaires, or is there something deeper at the heart of this?
Well, yes and yes. I think, as you may be aware, that Jeff Bezos announced in early May that he would be flying with other people on the first crewed flight of the New Shepard vehicle out of West Texas, and then Branson announced last week that he would be flying on Sunday the 11th, which would beat Bezos into space by 9 days. I had a good source and reported in June that Virgin Galactic was looking to have Branson fly before Bezos, and that they ended up moving his flight up one flight. They were supposed to fly 4 passengers for Virgin Galactic employees first, and then he would have taken the second flight, and both those flights would have evaluated the experience for passengers, for eventual passenger service. So they ended up moving Branson's flight up one. He's going to fly with 3 Virgin Galactic employees to evaluate the experience on the 11th. So Branson's been telling everybody and his brother that this isn't a competition. He didn't move it up for the purpose of beating Bezos, but my source says that that's kind of nonsensical, that they really wanted to get Branson up first and to have that kind of as a bragging point, right, and also helps them sell tickets because they're moving. Once Branson returns, they're going to open up ticket sales again. And there's about 600 people who have signed up already, and then they're going to release a new tranche of tickets once Branson is back on terra firma. So, and the company's been losing a lot of money over the last year or so, or over the last 17 years. So they need to get some revenues. And since it's a public company, that's been hurting them a lot.
Okay, so you followed both of these companies, and we talked, of course, on recent podcasts more extensively about Virgin Galactic because they're launching from here in New Mexico. But I know you're familiar with Bezos's operation as well. If you were going to fly into space or near space or weightlessness or whatever you want to call it in the upcoming future, like this month, who would you prefer to fly with? Who do you trust more?
Well, Blue Origin has a lot more flight tests to space. They've had 15 tests of the New Shepard vehicle. They feel like it's thoroughly tested and safe enough to put Bezos and 3 other people that are flying with him on it. The Spaceship Two has had 3 flights, 3 suborbital flights so far. This will be the 4th flight, and they've only had 10 powered flights now. So this will be the 11th flight for them. Now, the powered flights did not go suborbital. They went anywhere from about 69,000 feet up to the mesosphere, I think. But So this will be the fourth suborbital flight. So it has not had as much testing. And one of those 10 powered flights, as you might recall, failed. It broke up in midair in October of 2014. So they've had 9 successful powered flights and only 3 to space so far. So I'd feel a little bit more comfortable flying on New Shepard, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I've said that, if something does go wrong and, heaven forbid, Branson does not return. I mean, I would say this is the death knell for both Virgin Galactic as well as Spaceport America. But, no one wants a crash. And that being said, I'll be watching, if it's possible, on July 11th. Is that possible? Is this going to be televised online somewhere?
Yeah, they're going to do a global webcast streaming on their website and Facebook, and I think Twitter and another platform. So you'll be able to watch it from home. I don't know where you live, but you might go out and see if you can find a good viewing point. It's an interesting thing to watch launch because they take it up to about 45 to 50,000 feet. Just before the drop of Spaceship Two, the White Knight 2 puts out twin contrails so you can kind of see where it is, and then they drop it. It falls maybe 5 to 10,000 feet. They light the engine, and the engine lights for about a minute, and then kind of disappears out into heads for space.
I don't think I'm close enough up here in Albuquerque to see it. I've never seen one before. Haven't looked that closely, like to run out and see when it's launching, but I'm sure folks further down towards southern New Mexico will give it a shot, and I will be tuning in myself. Would you agree with my assessment that this is a pretty high stakes launch here by Richard Branson?
Oh, it's the highest, yeah. Every flight is risky. They're still in the flight test program. They're going to fly him and then 2 other flights and then start commercial service next year. So yeah, it's pretty high stakes. It's got to go pretty well. If it doesn't go well, if they have an abort or God forbid worse, and it's probably, it'd be hard to come back from. They've had 2 accidents already. One was a test stand accident in 2007 that killed 3 engineers here out in Mojave, and then the crash of the first Spaceship Two. Now they've got 2 other Spaceship Twos in advanced stages of development. One is supposed to start testing today, but they lose another vehicle. I think that may be it. And then I'm not sure what they do with Spaceport America. It's got a few other tenants, but the whole point of building that was to be the home of Virgin Galactic. So, and they put a lot of money into it, almost a $250 million.
Yeah, they as in the New Mexico taxpayers, just to be clear on that. I know you know that, but I just wanted to have you chat mostly about this. But of course, your website again is parabolicarc.com. And Doug, anything else you want to talk about? I'm sure you'll be writing and discussing both of these launches, both ahead of time and afterwards, and their impact on the private space industry. But any last words for us as we wrap up?
Well, I'm working on a story, should be out today or tomorrow, about the history of suborbital spaceflight. There have been 347 launches of people to space launch attempts, and only 23 of them have been suborbital. So it's not an area where there's a lot of experience. So we're kind of heading into a new area, and it's an area where they're actually going to be flying passengers as opposed to doing research flights, which is what most of the other ones were. So it's going to be an interesting era to head into. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of the flight on Sunday, and then Bezos's flight, which is July 20th.
Great. Well, I'll be looking out for that story. Now, last question, I suppose. Do you think this is kind of beneficial, I guess, to humanity? Is this a worthwhile endeavor that these two gentlemen and others are embarking upon, or do you think this is kind of just a lot of hullabaloo about more or less nothing?
Both.
All right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, if these things succeed, they'll get a really amazing experience going up into near space and looking down on Earth, and coming back. There's also opportunities for microgravity experiments this opens up a whole new area for those, which is very useful. You can do experiments in microgravity for several minutes. You can also test technologies that are going to be used in orbit. On the other hand, my comparison of this is that it's sort of a cosmic version of a tourist ride around San Francisco Bay. I've taken those. You go out for an hour or two and you see the sights and you go up to the bridge and around Alcatraz. But in the end, you're right back where you started. So it's a bit, I think really the action is in orbital, and there's like 3 orbital flights with space flight participants. That's what they call tourists, scheduled in the next 6 months. So I think the suborbital will be overshadowed by the orbital flights that are going up. There's 3 going up to the space station. And there's 1 flight scheduled for September that'll have 4 people in a SpaceX Crew Dragon for 3 days in orbit. So those are going to be probably more exciting than what Branson and Bezos come up with.
All right. Well, thank you again for your time, Doug. And go check out Parabolic Arc for more information, analysis, and review of these launches and others. So thanks again.
Thank you, Paul.